There's a strange comfort and mystery in whispers that echo from forgotten places, in the stories that seem too bizarre to be true, and yet persist. Welcome to the darker corners of speculation, where creepy theories live not just in the minds of conspiracy lovers, but in quiet places of possibility. These aren't just tales told around a campfire. These are the eerie, the unsettling, the strangely convincing theories that, despite all logic, might actually have some truth to them. Let your breath slow. Let the shadows stretch a little longer, and drift with us into 10 creepy theories that might actually be true. What if the year isn't what we think it is? The phantom time hypothesis suggests that several centuries of history, specifically about 297 years, were completely fabricated. According to this theory, the years 614 to 911 AD never happened. Instead, they were inserted into the calendar by powerful figures like the Holy Roman Emperor Otto III and Pope Sylvester II. But why? And how could that even be possible? Supporters of this theory argue that Otto III wanted to reign during the symbolic year 1000 AD. So, with the help of scholars, he simply changed the date. They also point to strange inconsistencies in the historical record, a suspicious lack of significant development during the so-called Dark Ages, and architectural styles that seem to skip hundreds of years in evolution. Archaeological evidence appears lacking for those missing centuries. Certain documents are either suspiciously dated or contradict other accounts. The Julian and Gregorian calendars also contain discrepancies, as if time itself were adjusted retroactively. It sounds absurd. It should be. And yet, there's an unsettling logic to it. If those centuries were invented, how would we know? We rely on documents, institutions, and records, all created by people in power. If they altered time for their benefit, would the illusion be permanent? Could it be that we are living not in the 21st century, but somewhere closer to 1727? Historians reject the theory, pointing to astronomical events, tree ring data, and well-documented histories from other parts of the world that don't align with the missing centuries. And yet, the idea lingers, because time is strange, and our trust in what's real is more fragile than we'd like to admit. What if the internet you're using right now isn't real? The dead internet theory claims that most of the content you see online, the comments, videos, reviews, even people, is generated by bots. According to this theory, since around 2016, the majority of internet traffic has been artificial. This isn't just about spam bots. The theory goes deeper. It suggests that much of what we think is organic human activity online, viral tweets, trending videos, product reviews, is manufactured by AI or state-run algorithms. The goal? To control opinions, push propaganda, and drown out real voices. If you've ever noticed eerily similar replies on different posts, or felt like conversations online are shallow, repetitive, or oddly robotic, you're not alone. That's one of the main arguments behind this theory, that online discourse feels increasingly fake. Of course, governments and corporations already use bots. That's no secret. But what if it's gone far beyond what we imagine? What if most of what we're interacting with online is an illusion, designed to make us think we're part of a living, breathing community, when in fact, we're shouting into a carefully engineered void? This idea taps into deep fears about isolation and control, that we're alone, surrounded not by people, but by systems built to manipulate. Whether or not it's true, the feeling it captures is very real. The internet feels emptier now, louder, stranger. Maybe the scariest part isn't that the internet is dead, but that we might be the only ones left alive inside it. Have you ever remembered something with absolute certainty, only to discover that it never happened? Maybe you recall the Berenstain Bears, not Berenstain, or you're sure Nelson Mandela died in prison in the 1980s. Or perhaps you remember a movie that doesn't exist, like Shazam, starring Sinbad. These are all examples of what's now called the Mandela effect, named after that curious misremembering of Mandela's death. The Mandela effect is more than collective forgetfulness. It's a disorienting phenomenon in which groups of people share the same false memory, as if they experienced a different timeline entirely. So what causes it? Some psychologists attribute it to confabulation, our brain filling in gaps in memory with false details that feel real. Others cite the unreliability of memory itself, shaped by suggestion, media, and misinterpretation. But there's a more unsettling theory. What if these aren't just memory glitches, but reality glitches? Proponents of the Mandela effect believe we may be slipping between parallel universes, or that our reality is being edited somehow, like lines of code rewritten. That would explain why so many people have vivid, shared memories that contradict current evidence. In this view, each Mandela effect is a scar, a seam, where our version of the world diverged. Some blame CERN's Large Hadron Collider, claiming its experiments disrupted the fabric of reality. Others suspect we live in a simulation, and someone is retroactively altering our environment. Consider the implications. If reality can shift subtly, what else has changed that we haven't noticed? How many moments, details, names, events have been replaced, leaving only a trace in memory? The Mandela effect is more than a curiosity. It challenges our faith in perception, in history, in shared truth. It whispers that the world may be less stable than it seems, and that somewhere, just out of reach, another version of you remembers it all differently. For centuries, we've looked to the stars and wondered, are we alone? Statistically speaking, it seems impossible that Earth is the only cradle of intelligent life in the universe. With billions of galaxies, each containing billions of stars, and likely even more planets, the numbers favor the existence of life beyond Earth. So where is everyone? This question is known as the Fermi paradox, the stark contradiction between the high probability of extraterrestrial civilizations and the complete lack of evidence for or contact with such civilizations. It's a riddle that has haunted astronomers, physicists, and philosophers alike. But there's a darker interpretation, one that doesn't suggest we're alone, but that we're being ignored, or worse, observed. Some theories suggest advanced alien civilizations are deliberately hiding from us. This idea, known as the zoo hypothesis, proposes that Earth is like a nature preserve, quarantined and watched, part of an interstellar ethical code. Just as humans might observe animals in the wild without interfering, perhaps extraterrestrials are watching us from afar, allowing our species to evolve and struggle on its own. The silence, then, isn't an absence, but a choice. Others speculate that we've already been contacted, but those interactions are suppressed. Governments may have encountered signals or technologies beyond our understanding and buried them for fear of mass panic, military imbalance, or loss of religious and societal control. But there's an even eerier possibility. What if the Great Silence is the result of something far more sinister? A warning. Some believe there could be an unseen threat in the cosmos, a predator species, a cosmic event, or a phenomenon so terrifying that all intelligent life goes silent to avoid detection. It's not just silence, it's fear. Maybe civilizations reach a certain point, technological advancement, nuclear capability, AI development, and then vanish. Some speculate this is part of the Great Filter, a barrier most civilizations cannot pass. If that's true, maybe we're approaching it now. Others see patterns in the silence, strange signals like the WOW signal, captured in 1977, a 72-second burst of radio energy that came from deep space and never returned. It didn't match any known natural source. Was it a mistake or a message? Despite endless listening, that message was never repeated. It's easy to imagine we've simply been missed, that the universe is too vast, the signals too slow, the distance too great. But some believe those are excuses. What we interpret as absence may, in fact, be presence hidden by unimaginable intelligence. And if they're hiding, maybe it's for our own good. Perhaps Earth is not a backwater planet. Maybe it's a fragile ecosystem being protected. Or maybe it's a cage. This theory lingers in quiet minds because it plays to the core of our fear. That we're not alone, but helpless. That greater beings are nearby, watching, judging. That in the void between stars, we are not the searchers. We are the watched, and the silence is not empty. It's full of eyes. You remember it clearly. The Monopoly man wore a monocle. Pikachu had a black tip on his tail. Nelson Mandela died in prison. Except, none of those are true. The Mandela effect is the name given to a widespread phenomenon where large groups of people remember events or details one way, while objective reality, newspapers, archives, and records show something entirely different. Named after the South African president, many people around the world falsely recalled that Mandela had died in the 1980s. When he passed away in 2013, millions were stunned, not because of his death, but because they remembered attending or hearing about his funeral decades earlier. How is this possible? Skeptics attribute it to the quirks of human memory. Our brains are not recording devices. They reconstruct past events based on suggestion, repetition, and emotional weight. Shared misinformation, pop culture errors, and simple confabulations can lead groups to adopt the same false memories, reinforcing each other until fiction feels like fact. But that explanation doesn't satisfy everyone. Some believe the Mandela effect is evidence of something much stranger. A glitch in the matrix, a rip in the fabric of space-time, or proof that we're living in a multiverse. Under this theory, small divergences in memory aren't just mistakes. They're artifacts, leftovers from alternate timelines. The idea is that our consciousness, or perhaps even our entire world, has shifted from one parallel universe to another. In one, Mandela died in prison. In another, he lived to become president. Somehow, we've moved between them, and only our memories remain as traces of the truth we left behind. This theory gained traction as more and more examples emerged. The Berenstain Bears versus Berenstain, the location of New Zealand on maps, movie quotes changing, famous brand names spelled differently than remembered. It's not just what people misremember. It's how deeply they believe it, the emotion, the certainty, the group consensus. Something feels off, not just in the facts, but in the fabric of reality itself. Could CERN's Large Hadron Collider be to blame? When it was activated, some theorists speculated that the intense energy manipulation could have fractured timelines or shifted consciousness across dimensions. Others suggest simulation theory. If we're in a computer-generated reality, glitches, like the Mandela effect, are to be expected. These could be software bugs, memory rollback errors, or the result of a system update. The theory becomes creepy when you consider how many people experience it and how passionately they insist their memory is right. If our memories can't be trusted, what else might be false? Maybe the world has changed, not metaphorically, but literally, and the Mandela effect isn't a trick of the brain. Maybe it's a breadcrumb, a subtle, persistent reminder that somewhere, somehow, something went wrong, and we are not where we were meant to be. You've seen them, haven't you? Out of the corner of your eye, a flicker, a silhouette, a person-shaped void that darts away when you look directly at it. It vanishes, leaving you questioning if it was ever there. But what if it was? These figures, dark, silent, and quick, are known as shadow people. Reports of them span continents and cultures. From ancient folklore to modern forums, people describe remarkably similar experiences. A sense of being watched, followed, observed by something that doesn't want to be seen. Unlike ghosts, which are often described as translucent or tied to specific places or events, shadow people are darker than darkness. They're not merely absent of light, they seem to absorb it, and they move. They appear in bedrooms at night, in hallways, in mirrors, in the periphery, often during states of sleep paralysis, when the body is frozen but the mind is awake. But reports also come from people fully conscious, fully aware. So what are they? Skeptics argue that they are hypnagogic hallucinations, brief, dreamlike images that occur as the brain transitions into or out of sleep. Others say they're manifestations of the mind under stress, shaped by fear, anxiety, or trauma. But there's another theory, that they're real, and not just real, but watching. Some believe shadow people are interdimensional beings, that they exist in a layer of reality parallel to ours, occasionally crossing the boundary, either by accident or design. Their fleeting nature, a side effect of the world's misaligning. Others claim they feed off energy, especially fear, that they're parasitic entities drawn to distress, that when you feel dread for no reason, it may be them. Even more disturbing are the consistent patterns. Many report seeing the same figures, a tall man with a wide-brimmed hat, red eyes glowing from the dark, a crowd of them gathered at the edge of a room. How can strangers across the world, decades apart, describe the same thing? Maybe they're not hallucinations. Maybe they're part of something greater, a hidden ecology of intelligence. And they've always been here, lurking in thresholds, between light and dark, between sleep and wake. They don't knock, they watch, and sometimes, when you're most vulnerable, they let you see them, only for a moment, then they vanish, leaving behind a silence that hums with memory. And a single question, what if they come back? The internet was once a place of wonder, a chaotic but thrilling frontier. People explored forums, created obscure blogs, connected across borders, and birthed cultures from scratch. It felt alive, personal, messy, human, but something has changed. Maybe you felt it. The timelines feel repetitive. The memes all blend together. Comment sections echo the same sentiments. There's a sterility now, an eerie predictability. And if you've sensed it, you're not alone. Enter the dead internet theory, a belief that most of the internet's content is no longer generated by humans, but by AI. Not the good kind, not the creative, sentient mind you might be imagining, but industrial scale, bot driven, algorithmic sludge, content farms, fake accounts, simulated discourse designed not to inform or connect, but to manipulate, distract, and control. According to this theory, sometime after 2016, maybe earlier, the internet died, or at least stopped being a reflection of real people. Governments, corporations, intelligence agencies, and private AI developers allegedly flooded the web with fake personalities, fake comments, fake news, and fake culture to serve various agendas. And the scary part? We stopped noticing. The dead internet theory isn't saying the internet is offline. Quite the opposite. It's louder than ever. It's saying that you are now the minority. That authentic, organic human engagement is dwarfed by bots. You post something, and 90% of the interaction you receive isn't from other humans, but from scripts. Why? There are multiple alleged reasons. First, social engineering. Bots can sway public opinion, push ideologies, silence dissent, or inflate artificial consensus. If enough accounts support an idea, even if fake, it begins to feel real. Second, consumer manipulation. AI can manufacture trends. It can recommend products, mimic testimonials, write reviews, or shape aesthetic culture to increase profit. You think you're following a viral trend. In truth, it was seeded by code. Third, surveillance camouflage. A digital world flooded with noise makes it harder to spot real threats. Real whistleblowers, real movements, real revelations. In the fog, truth drowns. Even major platforms admit a problem. Twitter, now X, Facebook, and YouTube regularly purge millions of fake accounts. Yet they never seem to run out. For every account deleted, more appear. Why? Because some of them are created by the platforms themselves. Not to deceive, but to maintain engagement. Fake interaction is still interaction. And here's where the theory gets darker. Some believe that many major influencers, content creators, or viral personas aren't people at all, but AI-generated figures, complete with fake backstories, deep fake faces, synthetic voices, and bot armies to inflate popularity, an illusion of relevance. These aren't theories from a dystopian novel. They're possibilities based on very real technologies that already exist. AI can now generate music, art, videos, human-like writing, and even replicate your voice with frightening accuracy. The line between human and machine is already blurred, and the vast expanse of the web, who can tell the difference? Let's say you argue with someone online. How do you know they're real? Their profile picture might be AI generated. Their responses pre-scripted. Their goal? Not to argue, but to waste your time, inflame emotions, or keep you engaged. Now apply that logic to influencers, to news articles, to comment sections, to reviews, to support emails, to the content you're consuming right now. This doesn't mean no one is real, but it suggests that bots now shape the culture more than people. The dead in dead internet doesn't mean empty, it means hollow. Echoes without origin, engagement without meaning. The world online starts to feel like a haunted house. Rooms full of voices, but no souls. You scroll endlessly, but find nothing new. You search, but every result feels off. You post, but get replies that feel robotic, uncanny, and over time, a quiet thought takes root. What if no one's listening? This theory taps into a deep unease that we've lost something irreplaceable, that the raw, unpredictable magic of the early internet has been replaced with a simulation, a puppet show. And you're still clapping, still replying, still refreshing. But are you the audience or the product? Perhaps the scariest part of the dead internet theory is that, if true, we may never know. You can't unmask a ghost when the mask is the ghost. All we're left with is a screen, and behind it, no heartbeat, just algorithms.